opportunity. So I wanted to start today by reading you my This I Believe. I think it'll help you understand why medicine, if I can explain that in my own words. So I'll just read from this and then move forward from there. When I was 6 years old, I took my first trip to a planetarium with my first grade class. I did not know much about the universe outside of planet Earth, but walking into a spinning room with the feeling of flying was enough to fill me with excitement. As I laid back in my reclining chair and gazed at the tiny bright stars connected in beautiful shapes, my heart stirred. I decided right then and there I was going to be an astronaut. I started to wonder, which star would I study the most? How would I get the most out of my life by only dedicating my time to learn about one star out of trillions in the observable universe? I believe that the industries, hobbies, and fascinations we choose to explore during our lifetime are each tiny stars in the constellation of our story. I believe that each of these stars is created with God's purpose and connected to its neighbor in a beautiful web of interconnected experiences. My goal to become an astronaut soon subsided when I found a new passion centered around animals here on Earth. From 8 to 18 years old, I shadowed a veterinarian to learn how to diagnose and treat pets. This experience, along with many others in veterinary medicine, then shifted to a new passion within human healthcare. From a very young age, I learned that steadfast commitment to knowledge, even stubbornness sometimes, will enable you to reach all of your goals and be confident enough to shift them into a new trajectory. If our time on Earth were infinite, maybe we would have time to someday be, or maybe I would have time to someday be, astronaut, veterinarian, physician, lawyer, investor, chef, professional tennis player, wife, and mom. I so intensely wish to pursue every one of my interests to the fullest and shine like the stars I gaze at in the sky. I believe that the most driven individuals are the most restless. The ticking hands of our clocks are our enemies, and the time in each day should be doubled. I believe that life should be an adventure and excitement should never cease. My 6-year-old self would be pretty content with my progress in life. Maybe I am an astronaut, after all, in the endless pursuit of my own constellation. So to give you that introduction kind of explains the initial shift in my passion for human healthcare from veterinary medicine. So we'll start with that. Here's a brief roadmap of my signature work that we all submitted to Claire at the beginning. This really helped me get a grasp on everything I've done up until this moment in my life to support my passion for medicine and enabled me to achieve my goal of being accepted to medical school. I don't expect you to read all of this, but we'll cover most of it. Here is we call it a strategic amoeba. If you're in fellows, you also can refer to this. Thank you, General Van Alstyne. But 3 major spheres of my mind shaped why medicine. First, a calling. Second, knowledge. And third, service. So first and foremost, I believe that medicine has been something the Lord's put on my heart from a very young age. First with pets and now with humans. So that was my first real inspiration in pursuing medicine. Following blind faith, displaying God's love through my own acts for others, been providing tangible service in the form of medicine, being able to reflect on this, going on a mission trip, with service integrating my passion for being a leader, a mentor, and a volunteer in the community, and then of course being able to integrate both my business and my scientific knowledge all together in a beautiful way. So to begin, veterinary medicine. This is something I could talk about for a very long time. Like I said, I started shadowing a veterinarian when I was 8 years old. It didn't stop until I was 18. So when I get committed to something, I really stay committed for a while. You can see some pictures here. The basset hound on the surgical table was one of the first surgeries I started watching in on. I've been watching surgery since I was 8 years old, and it has always fascinated me. That's me with the cat Owen, who lived at the vet clinic for most of the time I volunteered there. Some local places in Waco that I also volunteered at, like the Cameron Park Zoo. I spent 2 summers there learning about zoological vet med and developing some great friendships. And then these 2 pictures up here, one with my hand in a cow's stomach, and that is a horse's eye. Those were actually here at the Texas A&M College of Veterinary Medicine, which actually enabled me to fall in love with Texas A&M University as a whole. So Aggie Vet Camp was huge for me. I actually found out about the Texas A&M Veterinary Enrichment Program when I was 10 years old. And I wrote down all the program requirements to get into it, realized it was extremely competitive. They only accepted about 200 students out of all of the applicants in the US. But I wrote down all the goals and taped them on my wall until I was 16 and I applied. And I had enough veterinary experience hours to be accepted into this program. It was just an amazing experience, but most importantly, it showed me what life as an Aggie looked like. I felt a sense of community I'd never experienced before in my life, staying on campus, touring the facilities, developing great friendships. Some of these students I still know today, and they are actually still pursuing vet med, which is amazing. But it really just, it was a huge wake-up call for me that I knew I wanted to be an Aggie, not just because of the vet school, but for undergrad life as well. Moving on. So, why business honors? You may be questioning that. I actually decided to start with the business honors program to own and operate my own wildlife veterinary clinic, which eventually led me on a very different path. So in business honors, we're all required to attend 2 professional development events a semester, and the very first PD event I went to was the 2018 Healthcare Careers Forum. This was groundbreaking for me. It was an amazing experience. I got to learn from Mr. Brad Gibson at MD Anderson, and I was just astounded by the way he described the need for transformational change within the healthcare industry, specifically oncology, and how so many physicians have been missing the mark on just having essential communication skills and understanding the financial strain that treatments such as chemotherapy impose on their patients. Only being able to focus on the treatment itself and then the outcome can lead to disastrous complications in the midst of treatment. And I just remember thinking to myself and reflecting on the fact that I'm in the business honors program for a reason. I have a love for service. I love animals, but there seems to be more change needed within human healthcare. So I got really interested. I collected a few business cards, which I'll get back to later. Power of Connection is great. You can also see Dr. Barry in the middle of this picture, Dr. Leonard Barry, who's my Marketing 441 professor of service quality and healthcare, which has had a profound impact on my college experience as well. And Mr. Gibson is the second one from the left. So made 2 powerful connections this day and a powerful realization that I might have a calling somewhere else. So freshman year begins. What does that look like? Well, first it looks like me running into Claire's office, almost crying. I'm sure I've done that several times during my time here at A&M, but just telling her, hey, I can't be a vet anymore. I need to be a doctor. What do I need to do? I was luckily already in biology and making great grades there. So we got into a chemistry class for the next summer, and I learned what I needed to start pursuing to make medicine a reality. Freshman year, I knew I needed to get involved in a clinical environment. I had no exposure to human healthcare before, just vet med. I needed to have great grades, and I wanted to complete my first research project and find amazing mentors, which the Business Honors Program definitely provided me with. To execute that, I started volunteering at the Cancer Center here in Bryan. I started my first research project with the Department of Veterinary Pathobiology. You can see that picture at the top, and that is our chick choleontoic membrane that we developed. We actually grew that chick ex ovo, so we grew it out of the eggshell, and we had to learn how to get the correct ratios of antifungals and antibiotics to create a viable specimen. And I'm not supposed to tell anyone this, but I think it's pretty funny. We went away for Easter break, and we came back and there was a chick in the lab. That's not supposed to happen. But great memory. And then that's me in my first honors science course, honors biology 2. That class kicked my butt. I don't recommend it to anyone. And I don't know what I'm holding. I just found that picture the other day and thought it was pretty funny. And thank goodness for the Business Honors Medical Guild at the same time. A great mentor of mine now, Madeline Tovar, she's at UT Southwestern for med school. She has been with me through the thick of it. Still to this day, she's a great friend of mine. Just having conversations with older BH pre-med students really taught me so much about what I needed to do to get on track. So a few other highlights. I was able to become an Aggie Research Scholar my freshman year as a result of my first research project, and organization. We were able to publish our research there and present here on campus. And then this book, again, from Business Honors, Being Mortal, it had a tremendous impact on my passion for medicine, talking about the dying process in medicine and how that's often void from discussion in healthcare, the need for transformational change in palliative care specifically, and then its connections to oncology. So at this time, freshman year, I'm really thinking a lot about oncology. It's on my heart. Not sure if it's exactly what I need to do, but just another way the Business Honors program has helped shape my life. This is actually one of our optional summer reading requirements that we could have chosen from, and it's still one of my favorite books to this day. Sophomore year. Okay, so I had some new objectives. I wanted to keep up a stellar GPA. I was starting organic chemistry, physics 2, on top of accounting 229 with Professor Strasser, some other rigorous courses here in Mays. I wanted to gain more research experience, but I wanted it to be outside of the laboratory, and I wanted to become a leader on campus, something I knew would be key to being accepted to medical school. So I transitioned my volunteer experience to the emergency room at St. Joseph's, and that was incredibly, it was an incredible experience. I think specifically because of the work I was actually able to do myself, learning directly from physicians. I was able to take vital signs. I told the physicians from day one that I wanted to learn as much as I could as quickly as possible. So I was in the operating room when patients were dying. I was in the thick of it, and it was just really, really incredible to see healthcare in such a direct way. I started research for the Center for Health Organization Transformation, CHOT, and I started working at the School of Public Health as a research experience undergraduate, and that gave me a great glimpse into what research looks like just on the healthcare side of things. I got to work a little bit for accounting for Dr. Vita Cash over at the School of Public Health, and just really merged some marketing knowledge that I had at the same time. Still became involved with continued to be involved with the Business Honors Medical Guild with upperclassmen, just constantly pouring into me. I wouldn't be where I am today without them. I was a peer leader for the Business Honors program, and that's a picture of our class section. Landry is in there, Travis is too, Manny. We had a good group. I joined TriAdult because of the St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital and how I'd again get to learn more about oncology. And I had the opportunity to visit India and explore Narayana Health, which is one of their largest hospital networks. And so a few pictures, my big Aaron in TriAdult, who is also in Business Honors and has had a huge impact on my life. This is my friend Sanjay. We've kind of been neck and neck, being BH pre-med, and I'll show you a project we've worked on together in just a bit. That's a picture from India. And then some highlights from sophomore year. That's a picture of the ER that had a huge impact on my view of medicine, my ability to remain calm in extremely strenuous situations. Another amazing book recommended by Business Honors, 10 Drugs. I really enjoyed reading this book during COVID time, I believe. But just another representation of how impactful the Business Honors program has been on the trajectory of my life. And then this is just a pamphlet that I created for CHOT, my healthcare research. I did projects like this. I helped facilitate board meetings and conferences, and really enjoyed my time working at the School of Public Health. Junior year. Okay, so new objectives were to, again, keep a great GPA. To start, I was convinced junior year I needed to be a finance major on top of Business Honors and be pre-med. That is a lot of hours, and that's incredibly hard. So I ran into Claire's office and I told her, okay, Claire, I'm also going to do finance. And she looked at me and she said, Sarah, I don't know about that. You know, you're already doing a lot. I think that maybe you should reconsider. And I was like, okay, thanks for the feedback. I'm still going to be a finance major. Again, I learned to take Claire's advice right off the bat, because it usually leads to bad outcomes if you don't. But I started taking some more rigorous courses. Junior year was probably one of the hardest for me in college. I started biochem, molecular cell biology, microbiology, and another honors genetics course over at the vet school. I also worked on my first independent research project for MD Anderson, and I continued to be a leader on campus. So my volunteer experience with the COVID-19 pandemic looked quite different. I wasn't able to be in a clinical environment, so I shifted to the Mature Well Lifestyle Center. I learned about healthy eating and fitness and how we can communicate with elderly patients to make them prioritize those things in their lives. And then I started working for the Human Resources Department too as well to stay involved with such a great hospital, even though COVID made that look very different. I continued to work for the Center for Health Organization Transformation. So I had a part-time job. I worked 10 hours for them. I was still volunteering 2 centers. I was the new risk coordinator for the Peer Leader program here in Business Honors. I started my MD Anderson internship, which looked quite different than it was originally going to look like. It was supposed to be more of a financial internship during the summer of 2020, but with COVID, that changed to turn into an independent research project on the effects of the pandemic upon the U.S. healthcare industry and associated factors of psychological treatment and disorder. I was able to take Dr. Barry's Service Quality and Healthcare course, which I can talk more about the spring of junior year. I took part in the Business Fellows program, joined Texas A&M Foundation Coats, studied for the MCAT, took the MCAT, and applied to all of the Texas medical schools. So here are a few highlights of junior year, coding ceremony for Coats, our family for Coats. I started also working at a fitness studio, so that these are 2 good pictures of that, and being able to merge that with volunteering at the Matureville Lifestyle Center was great. I also started a business that spring. I know it was like pretty busy, but that was a great opportunity as well to merge some entrepreneurial skills that Business Honors taught me. And then here's a picture of my fellows team, which had a really big impact on that fall semester of junior year. So 4 things that I really learned about junior year, or the major thing was just endurance. So I interned, I took the MCAT, had a big course load in research, but we made it out. We made it. And then I just wanted to highlight again the power of networking. So that event I went to freshman year, and the first professional development event, actually led to my internship with MD Anderson. Mr. Gibson remembered me, and he told all the people interviewing me for this internship that if anyone needed it, it was me, because I cared that much about it, and I had such a great interest in oncology at the time. Ongoing checks, things that I'm thinking about during this entire process. So is this goal of mine working towards my dream or mission? This is something I considered before I took on a new leadership opportunity, job, experience. What am I paying in terms of time and effort to keep up each of these practices and programs going? I think it's really important to note when you're pre-med, everyone is so quick to tell you that it's impossible to get a med school acceptance. So I really ran myself dry and experienced burnout in a really new way senior year. Is the price worth the gain I'm making towards accomplishing my dream of becoming a physician? These are pretty big questions I was continually asking myself, and it's easy to stack too much on your plate. But senior year, okay, so more defining objectives, gaining clinical experience in a new way, keeping grades up, going on a mission trip, interviewing, more research. So I started work at the Brazos Valley Plastic Surgery Center, and I was a patient care intern and also a clinical research assistant. This was an amazing experience. I got to sit in so many direct surgical operations and fell in love with surgery as a whole. I had some new leadership opportunities with Merger Codes and Titans Investing. I interviewed with 6 schools in Texas, got my first acceptance, and went on a surgical mission trip to Nigeria. So then it ends with take 2. What does that mean? Ooh, okay, well, see, here are some highlights too as well. I was also given the opportunity to meet Mr. Bruce Broussard, CEO of Humana, which is a great experience in merging my interest with healthcare. There's my Titans class, and me with Britt, and again, Sanjay, the pre-medders, neck and neck, and that's our exec team. Travis is up there as well for the year. And you can see a picture of Texas A&M Health Science Center because I did receive a pre-match acceptance this past October. Okay, so here's a picture of my acceptance. And now I want to transition in a very new way. So, living by faith, what does that look like in my life? It's looked like finding comfort and peace when your life takes that new trajectory and being all in for it. So in November, I actually met my fiance, Mac. His parents are up there too. And we fell in love, and we're getting married in May, which is just such a blessing in life, and it's so exciting. But with Army changes in life too, I will now be reapplying to North Carolina schools. So that's a huge part of my story, but I think just another incredible way to see how amazing it is when the Lord puts new blessings in our lives and how we're able to respond to those and seek new opportunities we didn't even see coming. And what's warmer. So I was also able to go on a surgical mission trip to Nigeria this past February. Some things that I knew this past semester when I was making different sacrifices. I'll never sacrifice a healthy family life for my career. Selfless service can take a variety of different forms, and it might look really different than you originally planned. There's a reason I was being called to Africa, and then all the best things in life are worth fighting for, which Claire, I can attest to trying to go to Africa in Claire's office as well. I remember going and saying, Claire, I need to go to Africa in February. I know I have class, what do I do? And she was like, Sarah, probably not a good idea, wouldn't do it. And I said, okay, I'm still going. And it was really difficult to work out, but such an amazing opportunity to learn and grow from. And so here are some pictures of me operating in Kaduna. I know I'm almost out of time, so here are some pivotal learning experience I received from the trip. I actually brought my Africa journal. I wrote every single day, multiple times a day, about my experiences, but ultimately I learned that there is a lot of room for error on medical mission trips, and it is important to provide the high standard of care even in a hospital that doesn't have running water. I don't think there is any exception to situations where we should always prioritize the physical, emotional, and mental health of every patient, no matter what resources we have. I think all three of those are just as important. So here are some of those takeaways. In take 2, the reveal is that I'm applying to North Carolina schools right now, which is really exciting. And I'll show you one more thing before I end. I think I'm almost done. Oh, and I also wanted to give a special thanks to Mrs. Marley, Director of Business Honors. Claire, you have saved my life so many times. I cannot thank you enough. Dr. Leonard Berry for his class, Service Quality Healthcare, and Mr. Brett Harris for Titans. And now I'll pull up a big piece of my project really quickly. Okay. So this is a huge part of my capstone that Sanjay and I think you saw a picture of him earlier, we worked on this spring semester of junior year to provide the Business Honors program with this. I remember being a freshman and just being so intimidated by the path to medical school. Like, how are we going to do this? We're business majors, no one does this. And I wanted freshmen to have a completely different experience than I did when they were initially starting out, just some base level to work with. So I asked Sanjay to join this project with me, and we're able to create this guide. I'll just give you a brief run through of it real quick. So we have our mission and goals, about us, quick intro, Claire and Jeff, they're so necessary. We were able to lay out all the coursework you need your freshman and sophomore years, junior and senior years, with emphasis on Dr. Berry's class. That is a must. And a huge reason I was able to reflect back on my Africa trip in the way that I was. Research, volunteering and shadowing, outside of healthcare, so what it looks like to incorporate your business honors internship with your passion for medicine, how you do that. We actually interviewed every single business honors alum who is either in med school or a physician now, and Dr. Smith was a huge help to us during this process as well. The internship requirement, MCAT. There's never too much MCAT advice. Studying from the MCAT. The entire TMD SAS application, so what it looks like to apply in Texas. The importance of self-reflection. A few common questions we would get from underclassmen and answers. And then Sanjay's actually attending med school at the Icahn School of Medicine soon, and he applied through an early admissions program. We also found out about pre-med fellows at the Texas A&M College of Medicine, which is great as well. And we just wanted to highlight the fact that Business Honors has a 100% placement rate for medical school. You can see that one applied and one was accepted during this year, but it's still 100%. And we were both able to get the same award our sophomore and junior year. So just cool to look back on and reflect on where we are today and where we thought we'd be freshman year. And yeah, that's all that I had. Thank you for listening.
Question for Sarah.
like business honors or like something to medical school, did you find any parallels or like this actually helped me to be a business major and now I'm gonna go?
Oh, absolutely. I would say business honors has been foundational for my why into medicine. I think right off the bat, thinking about a lot of management courses we take here about leadership and what feedback looks like in your organization, looking both up and down for feedback and incorporating that into how you practice as a physician, opening up communication in a lot of different spheres of medicine, understanding the financial implications that patients are going through. I think specifically Dr. Berry's class, Service Quality in Healthcare, had the largest impact on me. We were able to directly analyze ideal physician behaviors, evidence-based medicine, what it looks like to design your hospital around the customer and create a customer-centric journey for them. I mean, just so many details, like the placement of your primary care facility. What does transportation look like for that patient? Being a patient-centered physician, having a patient-centered facility, just everything going back to the fact that healthcare is a service industry and we are working to serve people and they are a customer. I think that there's also learning about the shift from the fee-for-service-based model to a value-based model in healthcare was just huge for me. So those foundational learning moments were really important, and I think that a lot of physicians miss the mark when they just have a lot of scientific knowledge but they can't communicate well. They can't understand that kindness should be fundamental in every act that they provide. It's not just about the outcome for the patient, and if the operation was successful, it's about the entire service journey for them as a whole. But business honors really, I mean, I don't think that I would have learned all of these things if it wasn't for the program and if I was just a biology major or a biochem major.
Yeah, just